overtime run by Gibbs. Just how critical is he, Peter?
He's just so special. He's
Yeah.
so special. And if you're worried about Jared Goff outdoors in the playoffs, or you're worried that this team, who's calling the plays, like he's the ultimate neutralizer, and he makes everything right. Yesterday, 264 yards from scrimmage, 3 touchdowns. He's third in the NFL in rushing yards. He's fourth among running backs in scrimmage yards. He averages 6.1 yards per rush. Guys, he averages 7.9 yards per reception. He's so special. They just have to find a way to get him in space, and good things happen. They're going up against a defense that Jeff Hafley is calling, which is Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. Thanksgiving Day, I am fascinated to see how they get him out and open in space, because he is so, so good for this Detroit Lions team.
Can't wait for that game. Mina?
Yeah, one thing they can try to do is keep him into block, because I think that's his only weakness, and we've seen good defenses take advantage of that. I mean, Gibbs, I don't know if there's a player in the NFL who makes second and third level defenders look silly the way he does. Some of that is assisted by the Lions skill players blocking. You'll see that on all their explosives. But just his vision, elusiveness, the way he sets up defenders, and then the acceleration after his cuts is just unbelievable, quite frankly. And I would argue integral, because the Lions needed every single one of those yards on a day where the interior of the offensive line was struggling in pass protection. You could also attribute some of their success with play action, and really was necessary again in this game, because it was the only time it felt like Jared Goff was fully comfortable, to the amount of attention paid to Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield. He is the focal point of the offense, and he's a necessary one, because there are some cracks in that passing game.
Not worried about Goff outside playoff time, okay? I'm worried about the offensive line, the interior offensive line. I think it's a bottom 5 offensive line pass protecting right now. I'm also worried about no Sam Laporta. But yesterday, I do have to give credit to the end of half, end of game situation, and the different ways that were necessary for them to play to go win the game. You go to the end of the half, you need a chunk here. There's only 23 seconds. Jared sees that the safety at the bottom of the screen hangs, and the one at the top drifts down. Throw the seam route, bend him away from that nickel defender, okay? This is beautiful. Good pocket, one of the few that he had yesterday. Great. So that gets you 3. Go to the end of the game. This is just good veteran quarterback play. You want to drop out, this is the space you're talking about, Peter. Here's the difference. Saquon had that same throw yesterday. Couldn't get it done. Jahmyr Gibbs got it done. Amon-Ra, just run your choice route. Sees the defender widen, sit, ball out, go get a conversion. They ran this simple concept 4 straight snaps yesterday to go march right down the field. Amon-Ra saw it the same way every time that Jared Goff did. It gets him in the field goal range.
Giants never tried to jump the route?
No. But here's the thing. Easy for me to sit here and say jump the route. When you give a smart player like that the 3-way go, he's going to be right.
Yeah. You just see the spacing that they get, and just how easily they set everything up to be pitch and catch, and it really can be a thing of beauty. I was laughing earlier because they're like, how important is Jahmyr Gibbs? And it's like, oh, how important is the guy who had nearly 300 yards? Like, I think the answer is pretty important. He has more yards than the vast majority of quarterbacks out there. It's crazy. He had more yards than many teams had total yards. It's crazy. Jahmyr Gibbs is an absolute monster. What's crazy is that even if you take away that 69-yard, because sometimes it makes sense sometimes just conceptually to be like, okay, let's remove that big, huge play, that big chunk play of 69 yards, then how good? Because sometimes you have a run game, and it's like, we ran for 120 yards, and it's like, yeah, but you only had one huge play. Everything else was like a yard or two. Again, it was like, you couldn't rely on the run game, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, even if you take away those 69 yards, it's like he still was a monster. It was still 14 carries for well over 100 red yards, 14.6 yards per carry. I don't know if I've ever come across anything higher than that. I'm sure it's probably exists somewhere. Like, I mean, if it was a record, I'm sure then they would have stated it, or if it was and I missed it. But like, for me, looking at the box scores and having these conversations, I'm not so sure I recall a higher yards per carry, outside of maybe someone who was handed the ball off once and they took it for 30 or something, right? Which obviously not really counting that. Yeah, I mean, it's just impressive. It's just so impressive. And I know this New York Giants team isn't great right now. And so winning this I feel like under normal circumstances, especially who we know the Detroit Lions to be and who they've been, being a team like the Giants, you're just kind of like, you don't really celebrate that. And I talked about this before, that the Giants were, or excuse me, that the Lions were one of the first teams, one of the earlier teams in this channel of me making videos where I was just like, I don't care that you're blowing out bad teams. Like, you're so good. Beating bad teams means nothing to me. Like, the Lions are the team that really solidified that for me. That really made me become even more confident in that perspective, where I'm just like, I don't care what you do against the Carolina Panther. I don't care what you do against the Browns. Like, it just doesn't mean anything to me. And that was one of the first times that I aired out that take, and Lions fans got mad at me, and I was like, guys, it's just because I believe in your team. It means nothing to me. And again, playing against the Giants, I'm like, it's the Giants, it's you. Needed overtime against Jameis Winston. And I get it, and though, considering how the season has unfolded for this team and the way how the season has unfolded for everyone in the NFL right now, I'm more open than I've ever been to these types of wins against teams that I clearly just think have no business being. I mean, like, look at the names here, okay? Only the biggest football players, football fans, know what the heck they're looking at here with some of these names. And it's just like, you got Gibbs, Montgomery, Amon-Ross, St. Brown. I mean, like, you're Jared Goff. Like, you're just ready to go here. And so you would expect this offense to look significantly better than whatever the New York Giants can draw out there. And again, you had some trick plays that went in favor, multiple trick plays with the Giants, right? Like, and just some crazy stuff, some crazy stuff unfolding in this game. But considering how crazy it was, considering how messy it got at times, I do think that this was a really high quality win. And it's not clear to me that this version of this team right now, the Lions, and this version of the coaching staff showed their ability to find their way through a messy game. And in a lot of ways, when you have a messy game and you're going up against an opponent that is not good, that is like a mess, there's a lot of pressure. You're thinking to yourself, we can't lose this game. Like, you can lose to the Packers, you can lose to the Eagles, right? When you're losing that game against the Eagles, and now it's like clear, oh no, we're about to lose this. Like, you're not thinking we can't lose to the Eagles. This isn't, I can't believe we're going to lose to the Eagles. This is, oh my gosh, how are we going to handle this? And you're feeling it as a player. You're feeling it as a coach, feeling as an owner, a GM. You're feeling it as a fan. You're feeling in the fans. You're just like, how are we losing to this bad team? But when you're playing against like the Eagles or, another team that's like, obviously, has respect, you're frustrated, you're mad, you want to win, you don't want to lose, but you're like, all right, lost to the Eagles. They just won the Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. Like, you can just make something. Even if you play awful, even if you think that you played the worst game of the season, you're upset, you're angry, but you're not like, I can't believe we just lost to, the Eagles or the Rams or the Chiefs, or like, it logically can make sense. You fall to Jameis Winston with trick plays and you lose to the Giants, who are 2-10. You're like, it's a tough one, man. That hurts. That hurts the soul. That hurts you big time. And so being able to find your way through that, it's important. I mean, it really is. You're down 10-0, and then you're like, okay, 10-7. All right, we got this. We're back in. It's like, nope, now you're down 177, and you're like, all right, 1,714, we got this. And it's like, all right, well, they kicked a field goal. It's like, well, it's still, touchdown away. Like, we got this. And it just continues to get a little weirder. 2,717. And then you really are kind of like, man, are the Lions like the Lions can't get ahead of this right now? And then even near at the end of the game, you're like, oh, would you be shocked if they miss the field goal? Would you be shocked if it goes wide? If it hits the upper? Like, you couldn't be shocked in this moment of time. Like, it's not a 35-yard. Even if it was a 35-yard. The way this season has been going for everyone, you're like, I don't know, man. Are the Giants about to block this kick right now? Like, no field goal could be taken for granted right now. You're just, honestly, field goals are kind of back where you're just like, what's about to happen? What's about to happen? And then you kick, obviously, a deep one. And then the first play, hand the ball off, and it's like, touchdown, baby. Let's go. A part of me wishes that it was the old school overtime rules where, like, that's just the game, right? Like, you score a touchdown, it's over game. I mean, like, that would have been box office. But then, like, the Giants had a 12 play drive. Like, they were kind of like, hey, this game's not over yet. It's not over. We can do some damage maybe. But I do think the Lions showed a lot of resiliency. They showed a lot of heart. And then, as Orlowski kind of highlighted briefly, a lot of the execution, I don't even want to say necessarily the play calling, but I think the play calling was good as well. But like just the way how it was executed, and again, you can see how this team can put these guys in positions to succeed, and they have the bodies, where I look at someone like the Philadelphia Eagles, it's like they have the bodies, but they're not in that position. They don't put their players consistently in a position to succeed. And ironically, as you said, this O-line is not good. This is bottom in the NFL in pass blocking. Same thing with the Eagles right now. And it's kind of interesting that you have both teams not quite looking like what they had looked in the past right now. And so it is kind of interesting to see them kind of mirror each other right now. But the difference is that, as Orski pointed out, Gibbs is able to just be this absolute game-wrecking, game-changing player, as he's consistently proven. And the Eagles have not been able to get that out of their run game necessarily right now, which does add a degree of resilience. But, at the end of the day, playing the Giants, we can celebrate it. We can get excited about it. It's awesome. But at the end of the day, it does mean very little for a team like the Lions. And, it really is on to Thanksgiving and on to these next harder games, because it's not about just being competitive for the Lions, not about just having a good season. And, hey, it was a good year. We're showing progress. We're moving in the right direction. It's not what it's about for the Lions. We're trying to win a Super Bowl. We're trying to prove that we are truly a top team in the NFL. And you don't do it by beating the Giants. You don't do it by dominating the Giants. You do it by winning a division. You do it by beating the Packers. You do it by beating the Bears. You do it by beating the Eagles. You do it by beating the Chiefs. You do it by beating the Bills, the Ravens, the Rams, etc., 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 etc. So just keep on keeping on, and we will see. But right now, the Bears are winning the division. They're winning the division. And it's up to a team like the Detroit Lions to be like, that's really cool. That's cool. That's cool. You're doing that right now. Enjoy this moment while I last. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions and their win over the New York Giants? Right, it's their first win trailing by double digits. Wasn't even thinking about that. And that's pretty much what I said. They haven't shown their ability to necessarily do that, and they did it. Pretty good win. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.